Hello to you all on the internet. This is Dakian coming to you with another miniatures ramble on this Monday, the 5th of August 2019. I am starting off, as always, with finished minis, and I had to give pride of place to the chibis, the small heroes, small world heroes, I think the set was called, from the Reaper Bones 4 core set. There's 6 minis here. There is the succubus, who I think is supposed to be a rogue of some sort. There's the fighter, which I believe is a vampire character. Really, there's not much way, no real way to tell, but we have a paladin. He got some googly eyes, but they're so wide open, they had to be. There's the wizard, there's a druid, and a barbarian. Now, these were a lot of fun. Like I said, I've never painted anything like these before. They had their own challenges. The fact that the bodies are really small and weirdly proportioned and the heads are huge. I felt like I had to focus a lot on the faces. At the same time, because they're such blank open canvases, I felt I had to go kind of subtle. Eyes are important. I've never painted eyes this big before, so they're not perfect. Drawing circles freehand is not a skill that I possess. So they're a little wonky if you look too close. But yeah, for a first try at this sort of style, I think they turned out okay. Oops. I mean, I had to force myself not to go crazy over the details on the bodies because, like I said, most of it, the bodies are in shadow of the huge heads, and the detail is not great because they're bones. They have a few things like, for example, his sword is a little bent here, and I didn't bother to straighten it because I didn't think it would stay straight. So, well, it's a magic sword. Maybe it's bending in the wind or something. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have made his eyes so googly, but they are kind of I mean, he is staring. That's the expression he has on his face. So yeah. I considered whether to put some color, all the studs on his armor are like they're prepared with this basically just metallic medium from Vallejo, and I could have done what I did, for example, here and put one of those translucent paints over it to make it look like a gemstone. But then I thought, no, he has so much color already. He has a lot of gold and blue, and adding another color to the mix would probably maybe be overkill. So as it is, it kind of looks like just like a very bright silver, and yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I'm not super pleased with the staff on the druid. It's a hodgepodge, but otherwise, yeah, the faces were difficult, but I think I sort of pulled them off. You'll have to see, when you see the still pics, you will see them in way too much close-up and see all the mistakes. Please be gentle. Next up, we have one sort of odd man out. This is the Bones Black mini that was the promotional mini for July, I think. He is a friar. a monk, a wandering dude, barefoot. And I sort of kind of followed the color scheme that was on that Reaper used on the website with the green cloak and the brown robes. Slightly different color choices, but same general idea. The others here are the Hill Giants from the Bones 4 add-ons. We have here the Hill Giant Huntsman. I believe this is the Huntsman and his saber-toothed tiger. Little buddy. I decided not to go with tiger stripes on it. I mean, who knows what a Smilodon actually had on its fur. Some people, simply because it's called a saber-toothed tiger, some people illustrate it with tiger stripes, but not everybody does. And I thought it would interfere because I spent a lot of work on the subtlety of the play of the musculature and the bones, and getting highlights right, and stripes would cover some of that up, I think. And I painted all three Hill Giants somewhat similar to my color scheme for the previous Hill Giants I painted. This guy's eyes came out really tiny, but oh well, that's perfectly okay. For some reason, the shine here on underneath his arm won't go away, and I've sprayed it with matte varnish. Maybe I'll have to do some brush-on varnish because it I don't know. It's bugging me a little bit. Oh well. And here we have the next guy. He doesn't have this problem. He's not shiny. Well, he's a little shiny on the back here, but I think that's okay. That's the little sheen to the skin is all right. And the final one, maybe the fur is a little close to the club, the wood color. Well, oh yeah, there's some gloss varnish down in. Maybe I want to get rid of that in the lining of the fur, but oh well, it's fixable. So yeah, a lot of bones quickly finished. And finally, we have the Bush Leagues. I cranked out all 10 of these Pathfinder Iconics from the Bones 4 Kickstarter starter set, and as I've talked about, I've been frustrated with the fact that they have an immense amount of detail in the sculpts, which doesn't really come across in the plastic, in the Bones castings of them. And I mean, it's difficult even in metal. I have previously painted a couple from this line. I've actually painted both versions of Meriziel in metal for another project, and it's difficult because reproducing those illustrations in miniature scale provides stuff that it's not really humanly possible to paint it with a brush. You just have to sort of gloss over it, do washes or dry brushes or whatever, and use speed cheating techniques to just kind of indicate the detail. You can't really just paint all of it unless you're insane or a studio painter and you have days and days to do it. But anyway, so these are kind of rushed and very simplistically painted. So I'm just going to show them to you like this. I'm not going to put still pics at the end, I don't think, because I'm not that proud of them here. And they look a bit dark and dingy sometimes because I have followed the color schemes in the original illustrations. Even though I've taken some liberties, I've actually made them slightly brighter because those Pathfinder books are all painted or drawn in a really dark style. So this one I think is a little bit brighter than the original, for example. And I've just gone for... My ambition has been to make them look okay on a tabletop. At arm's length, at like 1 or 2 meters distance, they should pop a little bit and look okay. I don't know if this one does. The metallic maybe does, but otherwise it's a lot of really dark greens. But she's a ranger, I suppose. So that should be the case. And this one, I'm sort of happy that I managed to get the pattern in the right order. I mean, if I had been careful here, after I'd filled in the pattern with the white, I should have gone over the surface with the purple and to heighten that to increase the contrast, but that would have been way too fiddly, and there's too much risk of it running into the cracks and destroying the white. I mean, I assume that in the metal sculpt, the indentations for the pattern is a little deeper, and that would make working with it easier. I hope it is, but it's really shallow here on the plastic. And of course, for this lady, the original illustration has a lot of some sort of floral pattern on her dress, and I'm not going to do that much freehand for these little cheapo minis. This guy is boring even in the original illustration. He's just various shades of tan and beige, all his equipment. Really exciting. This one at least pops a little bit because she's mostly in metal. She has this sort of chainmail cloak, I suppose it's supposed to be. And her pet lizard. I don't know what the fuck that thing is. And this guy is definitely brighter than in the artwork. He's more dark blue there. But I decided that no, I need some more contrast. So yeah, they're done, and they're okay. They're passable. So I can move on to other things. In the category of unfinished business, the first thing, of course, is as always these last few Darksword minis. The only new thing, I think I'd worked some more on the rabbit last time, if I recall correctly. The new thing that has happened now since then is that I've worked on a cloak for Arston, which means working on different weathering techniques. And I forgot to mention it, but I did apply some of that to Brother Hammond, you know, that monk, the Reaper Bones Black monk. That was one of the earlier things I showed you. The bottom edges of his robe were pretty distressed and weathered as well. And yeah, I'll try to get one of these completely finished by next week. That's the most I can hope for, really, because I've got a lot of other stuff to do, and I'll show you that. Here we have some of the stuff that was not fully prepped last week. We have, plus some new stuff. This guy is new. I've not added any primer to him. I've just left the primer layer that was on. This is one of the WizKids Nalzer's miniatures that come pre-primed. I primed the base because I added some grit to the base that needed primer. Otherwise, this is just an airbrush of a base coat of green. And I've used the same green for these frogs, giant frogs. We have the Barghests, the Dire Beasts. They've been... The body is simply primed. The base has been had some brown paint splashed onto it. Just your average everyday base dry brushing. And in the back here we have the harem miniatures, the ones from Harwood Hobbies that I intend to be bringing to the store painting session tonight. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring this one. I don't know if I can transport it because the right hand, the sword hand, was separate, and getting it attached was really finicky, and I don't want to risk breaking it off. So, well, we'll see how it fits in my travel case. If it doesn't fit well, I'll leave it at home and just paint the other four at the store. So this is the next set of bones I started prepping. We have, oh, stand up. We have the actual demon or devil figures. These came in quite a lot of parts. There was a lot of assembly, but they went together cleanly and accurately. Not a problem with that. And as you can see, I've just managed to I've cleaned and assembled them. I haven't primed them yet. I'm not gonna do any more basing of these. The only concern I have is because these are the old bones material. These are not bones black, so they are very floppy. Like for example here. But so far they seem to be standing up on their own properly. And we have these 4 small goat-headed I don't know what they are. there's some sort of evil little creatures. As for them, this guy I've assembled everything except the shield because the shield will block access to a lot of parts of him for painting. So I will paint that, at least prime it separately and paint the inside of the shield and this part of the body before I glue it on. This guy has a very Games Workshop-y look to him. It's sort of like an orcish shield, and he has some blood chains and skulls and stuff. So, I don't know. Finally, there's Baba Yaga. Now, she comes in 4 pieces. I've attached 2 of them. The arms and the staff were 1 piece, and they attach to the body like this. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, there's a little bit underneath there that's going to be hard to paint, but I'll just splash some dark color in there and nobody will care. However, on the back here, her cloak, even though it stands out and flaps a bit in the wind, it would obscure, making it difficult to paint there. And again, nobody's going to look underneath there, but whatever, I'm sort of a perfectionist. I want to get a few different colors on there just to make it look like there's something. And also, she is sitting, there's holes here, so she's sitting on her pot, which is a flying pot, and she's going to be sitting like this, I assume. She can't be the other way around because then her ass would be hanging off into space like this. But I want to paint this part and underneath her butt before I attach her. Again, not that anybody's going to see a lot of detail there, but I want there to be like an impression of different colors, not just poking in some black. And I don't know. I think I might mount this on a flying stand because that is what's happening. She's flying around in this pot. She levitates it. We'll see. This is the most advanced out of all of these projects. But hopefully it will have gotten further by next week. Well, seeing as nothing new arrived in the mail this week, all that's left to do is to decide on new projects to add into the queue. And as for character minis, metal minis, painting at the game store painting night minis, I think I will just add these 2 hassle-free figures. There's Liberty, who is a female fighter, who is with differently proportioned and clothed than Kevin normally sculpts his females. This one is perhaps a bit more lifelike. And then there's a version of Liberty called Dominatrix Libby, who is, well, you can see what she's like. I haven't decided yet on a basing scheme for these. We'll see. I mean, this one is standing on some sort of rock, which is sculpted in. So it should perhaps be a rocky ground base of some sort. We'll see, we'll see. Now for bones, I'm soon through the core set of the Bones 4 Kickstarter, but not quite yet. We have a few subsets left. One of them is these snake people, the Nagendra. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. They're all multi-parts, but they're extremely simple and simplistic. It's like lower body, upper body, head, shield. And I mean, some of the others just 3 or even 2 parts. This one is 2-part. So it should be easy enough. And then there's this huge collection which is simply called The Adventurers. And this is all the character minis that are, you know, likely player characters, maybe. Some of them multi-part, some not. Like, for example, this wizard is a one piece. And I've counted them. There's a lot of them. There's, I think there was, now I forgot, 25, 26, 27. I think it was an uneven amount. I can't prep all of these for next week, but I'll prep like a third of them, like 8 or 9 of them. And so I'll space this pack out over, I think, at least 3 weeks, doing 8 or 9 minis per week. And we'll see. I possibly, there's some theme, like if there's enough, I don't think there's enough wizards to go just 1/3 wizards. Maybe there's warriors or armored dudes, like 8 or 9 of them. I think that's the case. So that is what I plan to get started with by next week. And hopefully I'll have everything else finished, knock on wood, because, you know, starting next week, geez, work starts up and I'll have less time, so I probably shouldn't even start this many projects, but we'll see. If I get in over my head, I'll simply reduce the number of things added next week again. Anyway, that was the video. Thank you for hanging out with me for so long. If you got this far, you have no excuse not to click like and subscribe and comment. Maybe even share the video with somebody. That's it for this week. See you again a week from now. Same time, same channel. Same month still, same year. But until then, I'm Doc Ian, and I'm signing off.